From slave to emperor, in one of the most powerful revolutions the world forgot, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, born in chains in 1758, rose to lead Haiti's slave revolt, the only successful uprising of its kind in history. In 1804, he declared Haiti the first black republic and crowned himself Emperor Jacques I. Defying empires and enslavement, but within 2 years, his own allies betrayed him, his empire crumbled, and his body lay broken in an ambush. How did a man who shattered the chains of oppression lose everything so quickly? This is a story of triumph, betrayal, and a legacy that still burns. Join me as we uncover the rise and fall of Haiti's forgotten emperor. In the late 18th century, the island of Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti, was a powder keg of wealth, cruelty, and rebellion, set against the backdrop of a world grappling with revolutions and the horrors of slavery. As the French colony's most profitable outpost, it produced half the world's sugar. In coffee, its plantations fueled by the labor of nearly 500,000 enslaved Africans, who outnumbered their white masters 10-1. By the 1790s, the French Revolution's cries of liberty ignited hope among the enslaved, but also chaos, as colonial powers France, Britain, and Spain vied for control. Into this maelstrom stepped Jean-Jacques Dessalines, a man born into slavery who would lead the Haitian Revolution, declare independence, and crown himself emperor, only to face betrayal in a nation he fought to free. Saint-Domingue society was rigidly stratified. At the top were the Grands Blancs, wealthy French planters who owned sprawling estates worked by enslaved people under brutal conditions, whippings, mutilations, and lifespans as short as 7 years. Below them were the Petits Blancs, poorer whites, and the gens de couleur libres, free people of mixed race who owned land but were denied equal rights. The enslaved, mostly African-born or of African descent, endured unimaginable hardship, their cultures suppressed but resilient, blending Vodou beliefs with Catholic rituals as a form of resistance. Life was precarious. Tropical diseases like yellow fever killed thousands. Hurricanes ravaged crops, and rebellions were crushed with savage executions. The French Revolution of 1789 sent shockwaves to Saint-Domingue. Its ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity inspired the enslaved and free people of color, but planters resisted, fearing economic collapse. 1791, a massive slave revolt erupted, sparked by a Vodou ceremony at Bois Caiman, where leaders like Boukman Doudi called for freedom or death. The rebellion set plantations ablaze, killing thousands and exposing the colony's fragility. France, distracted by its own turmoil, abolished slavery in 1794, but Napoleon's rise reversed this, aiming to restore the old order. This betrayal fueled further resistance, led by figures like Toussaint Louverture, a brilliant ex-slave who unified rebels and outmaneuvered European armies. By 1803, Saint-Domingue was a battleground. Toussaint, betrayed and deported to France, died in a cell, but his generals Dessalines, chief among them, continued the fight. The Haitian Revolution became a global anomaly, a slave uprising that defeated the world's greatest powers. Britain and Spain, seeking to weaken France, sent troops but were repelled by disease and guerrilla tactics. The enslaved fought with machetes, stolen muskets, and unyielding resolve. Their knowledge of the island's jungles and mountains a weapon against disciplined European armies. Dessalines, a fierce commander, emerged as the revolution's iron fist, his vision of a free black nation uncompromising. This was a world of high stakes. The transatlantic slave trade was at its peak, with millions forcibly transported to the Americas. Haiti's revolt threatened this system, alarming slaveholding powers like Britain and the United States, who feared its example would spread. For the enslaved, freedom was a dream worth dying for. But victory meant navigating racial tensions, economic ruin, and the challenge of building a nation from ashes. Dessalines' rise to emperor in 1804 was a defiant act, but the world he faced hostile, divided. And scarred set the stage for his rapid downfall, as internal strife and external fears turned his dream into a tragedy. Jean-Jacques Dessalines was no ordinary man. Born into the brutal chains of slavery in 1758 on a plantation in Saint-Domingue, modern Haiti, he rose to become the fearless general who led the Haitian Revolution, founded the world's first Black Republic, and crowned himself Emperor to face betrayal and assassination within 2 years. Dessalines embodied the fury and resilience of the enslaved, a towering figure whose life was a whirlwind of rebellion, triumph, and tragedy. His story is one of a self-made leader who shattered colonial empires, yet his ambition and unyielding nature sowed the seeds of his downfall, leaving a legacy as complex as the nation he birthed. Dessalines was a physically imposing man, tall and muscular from years of back-breaking labor, with a scarred body that told tales of whippings and escapes. His dark skin and commanding presence made him a symbol of Black power in a world dominated by white oppressors. Little is known of his early life born Jacques Dessalines. He took the name Dessalines from his owner, but he shed that past like shackles. By his 30s, he was a skilled carpenter and overseer on a plantation, positions that gave him relative mobility and insight into the system's weaknesses. He was illiterate but possessed a sharp mind, a booming voice that rallied troops, and a strategic genius honed in guerrilla warfare. His temper was legendary, fierce, and unforgiving. He earned nicknames like the Tiger for his ruthless tactics against the French. Dessalines' world was the hellish sugar plantations of Saint-Domingue, where enslaved Africans toiled under the lash, producing wealth for France while enduring starvation, disease, and family separations. He witnessed horrors that fueled his rage. Children sold away from mothers, rebellions crushed with dogs and fire. The French Revolution's ideals reached the colony in 1789, igniting hope, but when freedom was denied, Dessalines joined the 1791 slave revolt. Under leaders like Toussaint Louverture, he became a lieutenant, his bravery shining in battles where he charged enemy lines with machete in hand. By 1802, as Toussaint was betrayed by Napoleon, Dessalines took command, uniting Black and mulatto forces with a singular goal: total independence. His rise was meteoric. In 1803, at the Battle of Dessalines' forces decimated the French, forcing their evacuation and ending 300 years of slavery. On January 1, 1804, he declared Haiti independent, tearing the white stripe from the French flag to create the new nation's banner, crowning himself Emperor Jacques I in October 1804. He ruled from a palace in Marchand, his court a mix of revolutionary fervor and imperial pomp. Dessalines was a visionary. He abolished slavery forever, redistributed land to peasants, and built forts to defend against reconquest. Yet his methods were harsh. He massacred remaining whites in 1804 to prevent counter-revolutions, a decision that alienated allies and stained his reputation. Dessalines' life was defined by conflict. He navigated racial tensions between Blacks and mulattoes, economic ruin from destroyed plantations, and threats from foreign powers who feared Haiti's example spreading to their colonies. His family wife, Marie Clarison, children offered rare softness, but even they couldn't temper his paranoia. Friends described him as loyal to a fault, but enemies saw a tyrant. By 1806, his heavy taxes and forced labor sparked resentment, leading to his betrayal by generals like Henry Christophe and Alexander. Ambushed and assassinated on October 17, 1806, his body was mutilated, his empire fracturing into rival states. Dessalines was a revolutionary giant, a man who turned slaves into citizens, but his brief reign exposed the fragility of power. His story isn't just about rise and fall. It's about a leader who defied the world, paid the ultimate price, and left Haiti as a beacon of liberation, even as his name faded from many history books. On January 1, 1804, Jean-Jacques Dessalines stood in the city of Gonave-Saint-Domingue and declared Haiti the world's first independent Black republic, a seismic act that shattered the chains of colonial slavery and marked the pinnacle of the Haitian Revolution. This moment followed by his self-coronation as Emperor Jacques I in October. 1804 was the turning point of his life and Haiti's history. From a slave to a revolutionary general, Dessalines had led his people to defeat Napoleon's armies, but his brief reign as emperor, lasting barely a year, unraveled in a storm of betrayal, racial division, and assassination, setting the stage for his tragic fall and the fracturing of his dream. The Haitian Revolution, ignited in 1791 by enslaved Africans in Saint-Domingue, has been a brutal, decade-long struggle. By 1803, Dessalines, a fierce general under Toussaint Louverture, took command after Toussaint's betrayal and deportation by the French. Facing Napoleon's attempt to restore slavery, Dessalines unified black and mulatto rebels, leveraging guerrilla tactics and the island's terrain. At the Battle of, in November 1803, his forces, armed with machetes, stolen muskets, and sheer desperation, routed 20,000 French troops, forcing their surrender. Yellow fever and Haitian ferocity had decimated European armies. Britain and Spain, sensing France's weakness, withdrew support. On January 1, 1804, Dessalines proclaimed independence, renaming the colony Haiti after its indigenous name, a defiant rejection of European rule. The declaration was a global shockwave. Haiti became the first nation born of a slave revolt, terrifying slaveholding powers like Britain, Spain, and the United States, who feared its example would spark rebellions in their colonies. Dessalines, now 46, stood as a colossus guard, commanding. His voice rallying thousands in Gonaives as he tore the white stripe from the French tricolor, creating Haiti's red and blue flag. His next move was bolder still. On October 8, 1804, he crowned himself Emperor Jacques I in a ceremony echoing Napoleon's grandeur, complete with a gilded crown and a palace in Martian. He issued a constitution banning slavery forever, redistributed plantation land to peasants, and began fortifying Haiti against French return. His vision was a free, self-sufficient black nation, a beacon for the oppressed worldwide. But this triumph sowed the seeds of conflict. Dessalines' policies alienated key groups. To rebuild Haiti's war-torn economy, its sugar plantations and ruins, he imposed forced labor on former slaves, mimicking colonial systems to boost agriculture. This sparked resentment among peasants who had fought for freedom, not new burdens. His 1804 massacre of remaining white planters, aimed at preventing counter-revolutions, killed thousands, including women and children. Horrifying allies and isolating Haiti diplomatically, France refused to recognize Haiti's independence, demanding reparations, while the U.S. imposed a trade embargo. Racial tensions flared between black Haitians, who formed the majority, and mulattoes, wealthier and French-educated, who sought power in the new state. Dessalines, favoring black peasants, clashed with mulatto generals like Alexander, who resented his autocratic rule. The turning point came swiftly. By mid-1806, Dessalines' heavy taxes and military discipline eroded loyalty. His generals, including Henry Christophe and Wadwar, plotted against him, fearing his growing paranoia. Rumors swirled that he executed dissenters without trial. On October 17, 1806, Dessalines rode toward Port-au-Prince to quell unrest, unaware of a trap. At Pontrouge, his own men ambushed him. Shots rang out. He fell from his horse, wounded, and was hacked to death with machetes. His body was mutilated, left in the dust. Some say torn apart by a mob. His empire collapsed instantly. Haiti split into a northern kingdom under Christophe and a southern republic, under civil war looming. This moment, independence to assassination in under 2 years, defined Dessalines' legacy. His coronation had been a defiant act, proving black sovereignty was possible. But his fall exposed the fragility of a nation born in blood. The revolution's success reshaped the Americas, inspiring slave revolts and challenging colonialism. But Dessalines' death marked the end of unified Haiti, his dream of a strong empire shattered by the very people he freed. The betrayal at Pontrouge wasn't just personal. It was a fracture in the revolution's heart, a wound that would bleed through Haiti's history. Jean-Jacques Dessalines' ascent to emperor in 1804 marked the triumphant end of the Haitian Revolution. But his brief reign was a cauldron of struggle, where the fight for survival shifted from French oppressors to internal divisions, economic ruin, and the ghosts of slavery. As Haiti's first ruler, Dessalines faced the monumental task of forging a nation from the ashes of colonialism, balancing the dreams of freedom with the harsh realities of governance. His unyielding vision clashed with racial tensions, foreign threats, and his own authoritarian style, culminating in betrayal and assassination, a conflict that exposed the fragility of a revolution won but not yet secured. Haiti in 1804 was a shattered paradise. The revolution had liberated 500,000 enslaved people, but left the economy in tatters, plantations burned, infrastructure destroyed, and a population decimated by war and disease. Dessalines crowned Emperor Jacques I, inherited a country isolated by the world. Slave-holding nations like France, Britain, and the United States viewed Haiti as a dangerous precedent, imposing trade embargoes that starved the new republic of resources. France demanded reparations for lost property. They enslaved themselves a debt that would cripple Haiti for generations. Survival meant rebuilding, but Dessalines' methods were draconian. He reinstated forced labor on plantations to revive sugar production, arguing it was necessary for economic independence, but this echoed the very system he had overthrown. Former slaves, now citizens, chafed under the whip of state overseers, whispering of a new tyranny. Internal conflicts simmered from the start. Haiti's society was fractured along racial lines. Black Haitians, mostly former slaves like Dessalines, formed the majority, and sought radical equality, while mulattoes, free people of mixed race, often educated and wealthier, demanded influence commensurate with their role in the revolution. Dessalines, distrustful of mulattoes whom he saw as too aligned with French interests, favored black peasants in land redistribution, seizing mulatto estates and fueling resentment. His generals, like Henry Christophe and Alexander, harbored ambitions. Christophe, a fellow black revolutionary, shared Dessalines' vision, but chafed at his autocracy, while a mulatto advocated for a republic over empire. Paranoia gripped Dessalines, executed suspected plotters without trial, his temper flaring in public rages that alienated allies. The struggle for survival extended to Haiti's borders. Fearing French reconquest, Dessalines poured resources into fortifications like the massive Citadel, a mountaintop fortress built by forced labor that claimed thousands of lives. He invaded Spanish Santo Domingo, modern Dominican Republic, in 1805 to prevent it becoming a French base. But the campaign failed amid atrocities that hardened foreign opinions against him. Domestically, heavy taxes on peasants to fund the military sparked uprisings. In the south, mulatto-led revolts simmered, while in the north, Christophe consolidated power. Dessalines' 1805 constitution, which declared all Haitians black to erase racial divisions, was a bold stroke, but it couldn't heal the wounds. Voodoo, the spiritual backbone of the revolution, offered solace. But even priests whispered against the emperor's harsh rule. Dessalines' personal conflicts deepened the crisis. Haunted by his slave past, he ruled with an iron fist, his wife Marie Claire urging mercy but often ignored. His massacre of white planters in 1804, while securing the revolution, isolated Haiti diplomatically. No nation recognized its independence until 1825. Survival meant self-reliance. But Dessalines' isolation bred enemies. By mid-1806, a conspiracy formed in Christophe, seeing his rule as unsustainable, plotted his removal. On October 17, 1806, Dessalines rode into an ambush at Pontrouge. Shot from his horse, he was hacked to death, his body mutilated by a mob. Christophe and divided Haiti north as a kingdom, south as a republic, plunging the nation into civil war. The Haitian Revolution's success was Dessalines' greatest triumph, inspiring abolitionists worldwide and proving enslaved people could overthrow empires. Yet his struggles highlighted the revolution's unfinished business: economic inequality, racial divides, and the challenge of unity. Haiti survived as a free nation, but at a cost. Dessalines' death erased his empire, his vision fracturing into rival states. His conflicts were not just personal, but emblematic of post-colonial struggles. Where freedom's price is eternal vigilance, Dessalines fought to survive a world that sought to erase him. His legacy a reminder that revolutions are won on battlefields, but preserved in the hearts of the people. The assassination of Jean-Jacques Dessalines on October 17, 1806, marked the abrupt end of his one-year empire, fracturing Haiti into rival states and leaving a legacy of liberation tainted by violence and division. As the founder of the world's first black republic, Dessalines' death was a tragic outcome of the Haitian Revolution's internal conflicts. His body mutilated and empire dissolved, yet his actions reshaped global history. Recognized as a symbol of anti-colonial resistance, his story has been both celebrated and erased-hailed. In Haiti is a national hero, but overlooked in Western narratives. His complexities reduced to caricature while his impact endures in the fight for black sovereignty. The immediate outcome of Dessalines' fall was chaos. Ambushed at Pontrouge by his own generals, his corpse was hacked apart, some accounts say by a mob that dragged it through the streets. His wife Marie-Claire recovered what remained for burial, but the empire he built crumbled overnight. Haiti split. Henry Christophe declared the north a kingdom, crowning himself king, while Alexander established a republic in the south. Civil war ensued, with thousands dying in clashes that weakened the young nation. France, seizing the moment, demanded 150 million francs in reparations in 1825 for lost property, a debt that bankrupted Haiti for a century, perpetuating poverty. The U.S., fearing slave revolts, refused recognition until 1862, isolating Haiti economically. Dessalines' recognition began posthumously in Haiti. Buried quietly, his remains were exhumed in 1806 and honored in a state funeral, but true veneration came later. In 1892, his birthday became a national holiday. Monuments like the one in Port-au-Prince celebrate him as the liberator. Haitian Vodou reveres him as a Elwes spirit, invoked for strength against oppression. Globally, his story-inspired abolitionist Frederick Douglass praised him as a sable warrior in speeches, and Pan-African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah saw Haiti as a model. Yet erasure has been profound. Western histories like those in French or American textbooks often downplay the revolution, portraying Dessalines as a brutal tyrant rather than a strategic genius who defeated Napoleon. His 1804 massacre of whites is highlighted to justify isolation, ignoring the context of French atrocities. The outcome extended to Haiti's identity. Dessalines' Constitution of 1805, declaring all citizens black to erase racial divides, influenced Haiti's flag and motto, liberty or death, but his death unleashed the divisions he sought to heal. Mulatto elites dominated politics, marginalizing black peasants, a rift that fueled instability through dictators like Duvalier. Recognition in academia grew in the 20th century. Historians like C.L.R. James in The Black Jacobin, 1938, framed Dessalines as a revolutionary icon. While recent works explore his Vodou influences and strategic brilliance, in popular culture, films like The Agronomist 2003 and novels touch on his legacy, but he remains lesser known than Toussaint Louverture, his predecessor often romanticized as the gentler leader. Erasure stems from bias and power. Colonial archives minimized Haitian agency, crediting defeats to disease rather than Dessalines' tactics. In Haiti, political regimes have manipulated his image, evoked him for populist reforms, while others suppressed his radicalism. Gender erasure is notable. Women like Marie-Claire, who influenced his mercy edicts, are sidelined. Artifacts of his rule, his crown lost. Forts like Citadel standing as ruins face neglect amid Haiti's poverty and earthquakes, like 2010's disaster that damaged historical sites. Today, Dessalines' outcome resonates in movements like Black Lives Matter, where Haiti's revolution symbolizes resistance. Recognized in UNESCO's Memory of the World for its archives, his story warns of revolution's aftershocks. Yet, erasure continues. School curricula in the West gloss over it, and Haiti's instability threatens monuments. Dessalines' legacy is a double-edged sword. A hero who lost everything but gifted the world proof that the oppressed can rise. His empire gone, but his spirit unbowed. Jean-Jacques Dessalines' journey from enslaved laborer to Emperor of Haiti embodies the raw power of revolution. Man who shattered colonial chains, declared the first Black Republic and defied empires only to be felled by betrayal within 2 years. His rise as a fearless general in the Haitian Revolution, leading slaves to victory against Napoleon's armies, was a beacon of hope for the oppressed worldwide. Yet, his downfall, marked by political intrigue, racial divisions, and his own harsh rule reveals the fragile line between liberation and tyranny, where ambition can unite a people or tear them apart. Assassinated in 1806, his empire vanished, but the revolution he ignited reshaped history. This story compels us to confront a hard truth. History often erases those who challenge the status quo, reducing complex figures like Dessalines to footnotes in Western textbooks, while celebrating their oppressors. His legacy, though obscured by narratives of violence, endures as a symbol of unyielding liberation, inspiring movements from abolition to decolonization. In a world still grappling with inequality, Dessalines reminds us that true freedom demands not just victory, but unity and justice. As he declared in Haiti's independence proclamation, "We have dared to be free. Let us be thus by ourselves and for ourselves." Let his courage urge us to honor the forgotten revolutionaries, fighting for a world where no one is left in chains. Jean-Jacques Dessalines' rise from slave to emperor and his swift fall is a powerful reminder of revolution. His triumphs and Cassa's story of liberation that reshaped the world but was nearly erased from history. If his journey from chains to crown and the betrayal that ended it moved you, share it with someone who values tales of resilience and forgotten heroes. Let's reflect on how one man's defiance sparked a legacy of freedom. For more stories of unsung revolutionaries and hidden histories, stay with me. There's always another chapter waiting to unfold.